Hello and welcome to this presentation by John Vinson. I'm John Vinson. My topic today is Not All Black Americans Are Descendants of Slaves. Before I get started, I'm the host of this show and this program. You can find out information about the tribe, the Tuscaloosa Appalachee tribe of Louisiana. Is a cultural preservation organization dedicated to sharing Tuscaloosan culture at www.sites.google.com/view/TAT Nation. You can also see me at YouTube at Chief Lee, aka John Vinson, and also on Facebook. Before I get started, I'm going to talk about the importance of time and place. You know, when you're studying history, a lot of people talk about history. They talk about civil rights. They talk about other important topics that America is faced with today: racism in America, political divide. But I'm going to just tell you, when you talk about history, you need to get your facts straight. And the only way you can do that is to quote the time and place that you're talking about. This timeline chart of African history pinpoint the time and place that I'm going to talk about. Let me just say that this is like an outline of the timeline I'm going to show you in just a minute. But I'm going to start with the BC years. BC means before Christ. I'm going to start with 7,000, around 7,000 BC, 7,000 years before Christ was born. And then I'm going to go ahead and cross over. And before I cross over into AD, I'm going to mention that around year one is when Jesus Christ was born. A lot of things changed at that time. And then I'm going to take it up to the present time that we are in now, 2021. Okay. But my topic today is not all blacks are descendants of slaves. Nobody can prove that. I know a lot of educators, and it's generally talked about and believed in American society that all blacks are descendants of slaves. That's not true. Nobody can prove that. But I'm going to give a picture tour of some of the events over the course of time that blacks have been involved in. Follow me as I go along. Beginning in Africa, ancient Africa, looking at the Egyptian and Ethiopian delta, we can see that during these years here, things happened. The advent of agriculture, here, the tilling, the plow was invented. Uh, in some cases, taming of large animals to help do work. Uh, it also happened. Pharaoh, lots of records. The Egyptians were the record keepers of the ancient world and left a lot of records. They raised armies. Alphabets were created, some of your first alphabets. We had buildings, and edifices on grand scale. Chess and checkers was invented in Egypt around 3000 BC. It was invented as a game for married people, so they had something for everybody. Some other things happened here, pointing to around 3000 BC. Imhotep invented medicine. He was also the person that invented architecture. He's the first architect we know by name. He was born around this time. He was the chief architect and physician to Pharaoh Doja. He had a reputation for getting things done. You can look up some of these things on your cell phone, computer. I encourage further study. The use of feathers and beads popped up around that time, around 2250 BC, as ornaments for the head. Musical instruments were heard in Pharaoh court. And also we had the prophet Moses uh, that came along around 1300 BC, facing Ramsey, saying, "Let my people go." And another important figure that came up here around 900,000 to 900 BC was King Solomon and David. Uh, and we had some important history markers there to happen. But also we had a very important marker right here around 750 BC. Joseph was in Africa, so that was an important marker there that we need to. Queen of Sheba, around this time, who dealt with Solomon. Rome was founded around 750 BC, right here. The prophet Daniel around 600. All of these, the Romans invaded Africa. The Greeks invaded first with Alexander the Great around 332, right here. And the Romans were behind them a few years later. Okay, that began to set the world up for some big major changes. We had and here we're going up to zero here now. So, like I told you, we're about midways there. And Jesus was born around this time. Scholars say that he was born around 2530 AD. We know that he was alive when the Romans were there, and we know that Queen Candace of Ethiopia was invaded by the Romans around 22 AD. So that's a markers there to give us some time. Another important thing that happened was Mansa Musa took a trip to Mecca. What's important about that is that he had the largest cache of gold the world has ever seen. And the Europeans took note of that, and so they wanted to go to Africa and see what was going on, and so that began a large exploration of Africa. Mansa was his title. Mansa is like a king. Musa was his name. Okay, but his image was on the first coin ever printed in Europe. King Henry VIII issued pirate license for the first time here around this time, around 1200. Like I said, European nations were growing, and they were going to take the things they needed from weaker people. Columbus landed in Haiti, 1492, around here. That's important. And it was also important to notice that around 1540, Tuscaloosa, right here, was invaded. Okay, so and they had the Indian Removal Act around 1803, I believe it was. And we're coming up to 1900. When slaves were emancipated, before that, 1860. And then around 1900, the Industrial Revolution is really getting off to a good start. And we come later into the mid 1965, we have, of course, the Civil Rights Movement here. And then coming up to first black president, Obama in the 2000s there, 2008. And then President Trump after him. So we don't know what the future, I know this number goes up to 2200 AD. We don't know what this is going to hold yet, but we're showing it on the graph nevertheless.